yours truly, Nick Cannon. Yo, Nick, I can't see your face, man. You look too cool back there. Like, we need some light on your face. We can't.
I need to turn these lights on. I'm in the
that's
stoop.
Nick Cannon, man.
I got you. Hold on, let me turn the lights on.
They don't believe it's Nick Cannon, man.
Hilarious.
Damn, Nick.
OG, what's good?
Woo!
What's poppin', my brother?
Yo, Nick, let me explain something to you, man. So for the people who don't know, you've been my brother for close to almost 20 years.
Facts.
And and still to this day, because we shot that first video with me, you, Buster, on a private plane.
On the private plane.
And that's still the nicest plane I ever been on in my life.
Yo, that joint was crazy. The crazy shit too, that shit was haunted. Like we had to sleep on that plane. It was the biggest. It was like
the biggest
two jumbo jets
plane I ever seen, right?
Yeah, no, it was definitely two jumbo jets. It had like 3 bedrooms on that joint. It had man, it was so crazy. It was once like some casino owners, and they said he used to haunt the plane. They said he had passed away, and I remember
thank God
the
I
crazy
wasn't flying at that time.
No, real talk. Right after we shot the video, right, but to put him on the floor, we had, you know, because we was landing, shooting the video and stuff. On the way back, I was shooting a movie, so I had to take a smaller private plane back to Canada, and all the crew, the video girls, all of that, they were still on the plane, and when they flew back to LA, the landing gear wouldn't come out, and that joint had to circle, and I was like, something told me not to take that plane back. Like it was crazy. They was like saying all type of weird, creepy stuff was happening on that joint. But like you said, it's still the nicest private plane I ever been on.
It was the nicest plane I ever seen. But then with me, right, today I'm watching Styles P and his lovely wife. They went on vacation. They took one of them planes that land in the water.
Oh, and yeah, I've been on a couple of them.
Yeah, I ain't getting on no shit like that. And then the man,
they got those in the Bahamas.
This shit. On Instagram, they tried to land 3 times. They couldn't because they kept saying the water's rocky. Like, I'm like, yo, B, I can't get used to that.
Ever. That's silly.
Yo, Nick, let me ask you a question I've always wanted to ask you.
Right.
Is that part of like your wardrobe, the turban? Is that like religious? Like what is it?
Yeah, it's more a spiritual thing more than anything. It's like I started doing a lot of studying. Like a lot of people don't even know that, like, you know, I'm getting my PhD in theology and like really going through and I started studying the Sikh faith as well as the Moorish science. And it was just really talking about how it's about sovereignty. It's like, well, we self-govern, you know what I mean? So even like a lot of the stuff I stand for, I don't really be pushing it in people's faces, but it's really like representing like this our crown. Like we true kings out here. So it just started to be like, yo, I ain't, you know, a lot of people thought it was like a wardrobe get down, but I was like, that ain't really why I do it. It's more of a spiritual connection and a discipline more than anything. But I gotta make sure that it's fly, so the shit always be matching and shit like that, and putting diamonds in it and shit.
Hey y'all, let me tell you something, yo Nick. So when I study the game, and you know, I got the Big Joe, the big show, and I'm thinking about, and I told you I need advice from you. And when I think of somebody who's been doing it for so long, so you done had executive produce, you got your own shows, you host the shows and the big shits, and the Wildin' Out play, like yo Nick, crazy. You gotta be really, really well off, huh, Nick?
I'm doing pretty good.
No, but what's pretty good? Like you up there, Nick.
You know, it's crazy. Like, and it's funny because I see all of the Forbes lists and stuff like that, and I almost feel like because cats really don't know what to classify me as, because they don't know if I'm like a producer, a filmmaker, a rapper, an actor, a comedian. So I've never been on a Forbes list, but I'm super fine with that because I'm good on cats not knowing how much money I'm making.
So have you ever been approached by the Forbes list, or they just people approach them to get on the Forbes list?
Yeah, you know how that is. There's people's publicists being involved and all of that. You know how the game go. A lot of that it ain't even that's more for the bells and whistles and the pageantry to kind of show people that I never wanted people to appreciate me for the amount of money that I had. And that's, you know, even real on some real stuff. Like I'd rather people appreciate me for, you know, my education or appreciate me for what I do for the community. So I even the times where I have had coach me, and because I think they ask you like, how much did you make or how much did this tour make? And all of that stuff just seemed real invasive. So I was just like, man, I don't really need that. I don't really care.
Yeah, I get it. I get it because so much of this world is based on materialism. You know, I like finding shit in life, but it
Yeah,
seems like they love you when you got some shit, and it ain't for your true worth or your true self-worth. And I was talking about truth last week because now everybody's on social media, no disrespect. I mean, you know, I believe in faking it till you make it, but some people take that shit that shit too far to where they doing everything for Instagram, they doing everything for social media, they
right.
doing and not yourself, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, nah, you make a great point. I mean, man, you a legend and move in that way because, you know, we all been through the stages where we had, you know, the biggest diamond chains and the cars, and we like nice stuff. We still have those things, but and all the fancy watches, I got them all. You know, I got the world's most expensive pair of shoes ever. I got $2 million shoes, but I never like to throw that type of stuff. Once you evolve to a certain place, yeah, I stopped Instagramming like material things. You know what I mean? I really like I'm not trying to show off for my people. If anything, like I said, I'd rather show off what books I'm reading. I'd rather show off, you know, how they can act, you know, the process and the blueprint to get, you know, the material items that we've always sought after. So I mean it just ain't never really like, as much as I'm
Well,
into
Nick,
fashion and getting fly.
something people don't know about you that I know. You can stop me a minute, just say stop, right? If I'm going too far.
Go as far as you need to go, OG.
Nah, yo, Nick, you grew up with some rough guys, right?
Oh yeah.
And you got the color on. Hey, hey,
Nah, you know, it's interesting, man. Growing up on the West, and even shooting in my area when we came up, they didn't just wear red. They also, you know, they wore green too. I grew up in Southeast San Diego, and then obviously too in LA and moved
no,
around.
Nick, hold up, Nick. I mean, they love you like you're the poster child. Everybody thinks Nick Cannons is all jokes and fun and games, but you grew up with a wild bunch of the most realest guys in the universe, and they love Nick Cannon.
Yeah, now to make it out of the projects that I made it out of, I mean, we all come from it. So it was an example of, yo, you don't have to get caught up in it, and dodging drive-bys on the way to school, losing homies, like all that stuff. Even once I got in high school, I just wanted to leave that life alone. So when I saw them opportunities of like getting on stage and telling jokes and being a kid on Nickelodeon, I had already lived the life, you know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, I square up immediately. I saw that as a blessing from God, to where it's like, yo, I could leave the streets alone. I could, be able to pay my mom's rent and take care of my family, and all I got to do is be silly and
I
tell
tell you right
jokes.
now, some of the most respected guys I know.
Yeah.
Love Nick Cannon, and they say, yo, he from the cloth, he from the family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, and it's a way of life, man. We come from it. When you got guys that consider you family, and we know what these organizations were originated from, because it was about protecting our communities. And I was one of those kids that people wanted to protect. So the OGs in my neighborhood, they knew I was affiliated and certified, so I didn't have to prove it to nobody. So even when I got in the game, I was never talking that rah-rahness. I was trying to be the most clean cut, squared in a box of Apple Jacks cat I could be. So like when people would call me corny and all that, I loved it. I was like, absolutely. That's gonna keep the police off me. I'll be that guy.
What happened, yo, Nick? What happened to me was, and we could talk about it. you get into this little rap beef with Eminem, right?
Yeah,
No,
again.
Yo, Nick, you get into he dissed you on my song, but you know, they broke it down to me that y'all had been dissing each other forever. I didn't even know. And
Right.
So some people who love Eminem hit me up and say, yo, Joe, and I'm like, Nick Cannon, and that's my man, and they cool. And then when I made a
You
couple
had
of
no
phone
idea.
calls, when I made a couple of phone calls, and the homies was like, no, Nick Cannon's certified, he with us. I'm like, what? I said, for real? And I'm like, and what is the beef with Eminem, Nick? What is the beef? I mean, you in the big show. Let's keep it real, man. What's the beef?
We on the
with
big
Nick
show.
Cannon and Eminem?
I'm talking to Joe, bro. I gotta go in. I gotta
We're
give
the
you the
Joker
exclusive.
show, bro. This is a Joker moment.
Nah, real facts. This is my thing. I'm gonna be honest with you, and you know, I say this on my radio show, you know, Power 106 all the time. Like, man, I've always been an Eminem fan. You know, the artist is somebody that I feel like is super skilled. You know, he's good for the culture, been good for the culture, been good to the culture. But I think as a man, where he and I went left, I don't really know what he and my ex-wife had going on. I think she got a new book coming out, and she talking about it in there. And,
No way. Yo,
yeah,
Mariah
so
got a book talking about
it. Yeah. Mariah got she doing an exclusive, you know, memoir, talking.
Don't do that. That's a Joker moment. Hey, yo,
Yeah, so but that was
yo,
none of my business. You know what I mean? I don't. You know how we do. We don't never hate them. So
her side of the story.
Yeah, so but like I said, that was before me. We got married in 2008, and you know, up until then, I had been nothing but a Mariah and fan. I was just excited to be with Mariah Carey, like, and I wasn't even aware that they had interaction. I don't know if they dated or how things go in this industry, but she was telling me like, dude was just super disrespectful, and I was like, all right, well, you know, as a husband, like, you know, if I got to protect my wife at any cost, it's on, you know. And then, but we didn't even really think nothing of it. And then all of a sudden, dude came out with a crazy record, like just blatantly just disrespecting, like using terms like that, you know, we don't stand for as men, like talking about my wife, and then called my name. So I was like, you know, at the time, you know, I'm managed by, you know, Chris Lighty, you know what I'm saying? You know, one of our brothers, God rest his soul. And, you know, he got the connection with, you know, cause he was managing Fifth at the time. And, you know, I think him and M's manager was super cool, Paul. So he was like, yo, Nick want to holler at your guy. Cause this is, you know, I'll get all the jokes and the rah-rah. I'm Mr. Wildin' Out. We can make jokes all day long, but when you go to a certain point where one, you start lying, and then two, you start blatant, like calling my wife out her name, all kind of whores and cunts and all of this craziness, you got to see me. We got to talk about this man to man. And I was really just looking, especially then, we wasn't even about no music. I wasn't trying to rap or nothing. Like I wanted to have a real man to man conversation. And they was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. He doesn't want to talk. And I was like, how you just going to say some wild shit and then you don't want to talk to me? And I was like, now that's even triple disrespectful. You know what I mean? So that's where it kind of kicked off, because I was trying to handle it like a man and get to it. And then, you know, at the time, I think they kept putting records out back and forth. Mariah put out the Obsessed joint where she was him in the video. Shit went like triple platinum.
Mariah got a hit off that shit, that energy.
Yeah, that joint went to #1.
She came back on that motherfucker shit. That was like an R&B diss record. Smash #1.
So that's what like she really needed. Yeah, she might need to do nothing else with it. And like she's the queen. She the GOAT on her own. So I ain't even have to. You know, I was just cheerleading from the sideline, really. And then dude just kept going. He kept getting more disrespectful, but wouldn't. You know, BET Awards, different awards show. You know me. I move how I move. So I was walking up like, yo, let's just have this man-to-man conversation. And it never happened. But then, you know, time went on. cooler heads prevailed. You know, we got later on, we start to joke about it. I'm trying to invite him to Wild 'N Out. I figure at this point, like, you know, bygones is bygones. Decades have passed. And I mean, he just kept belaboring it. I think even it was another conversation. I think Tips, pause. I was on Ti's podcast, and he brought it up. You know what I mean? And we were just talking about, like, you know, we know T.I. got hands. I box. We all come from cats who fight. So I think I might have said something slick like, that dude ain't no fighter. You know what I mean? Like, just talking, we joking around. And I think that might have been what kind of, because it was during the same time that your record came out. So I think he might have maybe caught wind or something like that. Because I don't know why he would be talking about some stuff from like 10 years prior. And, you know, I saw it as an opportunity to promote Wild 'N Out. So we just started, he went at me, I went at him. I put my guy, the battle rapper from Wild 'N Out there. And, you know, the ratings went up. So, and we still waiting. We went to #1 off that.
Nick,
so
right?
I appreciate it.
So Nick, everybody's in it, because I want to set the tone, right? So everybody's protesting because of George Floyd and Breonna and Aubrey and everything is America is Black Lives Matter. Everybody's in the middle of the street, even in the COVID with a mask on or whatever. And so
Facts.
You go and interview the guy that's too black for Public Enemy. Listen, you didn't get the pure, you got the Pablo Escobar of the whole black empowerment. Yeah. You got the guy who's too radical for Public Enemy. Public Enemy is too black, too strong. And you go get this guy. So what are you thinking right there, Nick, when you go get Professor Griff and you put him on your show? What was in your mind when you went and got him?
Yeah, man, you know, like, bottom line, my Cannons class platform is something that I started, you know, at my undergrad at Howard University. You know what I mean? That's when I was just getting my degree in criminology and my minor in Africana studies. And really, for me, my podcast, my platform was really a way for me to engage with my professors and learn. You know what I mean? So it was a way, like, I was putting it out there for the people, but these were like my real professors. I was getting graded on the podcast and the writings and the readings and stuff. So I offered that up, but it was always somebody who was dropping gems. And we done had everybody on there from Michael Eric Dyson to, you know, Dr. Greg Carr, who's, you know, the dean of the Africana Studies department and one of my mentors, like everybody, you know, like, and so Griff was somebody that I had always been a fan of since Public Enemy. I was aware of, you know, I was a shorty when it all went down, but I was aware of the situation. So I was like, this is what my platform is for us to have that truth and reconciliation. You know what I mean? He had felt that he'd been blackballed for 30 years, and I wanted to give my brother the opportunity to speak his mind. And, you know, I had read his books, you know what I mean? My podcast is all about books, you know what I mean? Like, that's how my framing question. So I even got joints right here, right now. Like, so I had all his books on the table. I had, you know, the ISIS papers, Francis Crest, Welsling, all of that. Like, and we was talking about the stuff that won why he felt like he was blackballed. And then, you know, that turned into the conversation about the power of the black man and how we have been brainwashed for so long that we aren't, or that we've been lied to about our lineage. We've been, our history had been stolen to us. So we said a 90-minute conversation, and I felt like it was a good conversation because we had it. That was old footage. You know what I mean? Like, that was filmed. And from, you know, you know how the internet go, it surfaced, people are cutting some stuff up, you know, it blew my mind, because even in the statements that I made, I was like, there's no hate involved. And I'm talking the crazy shit. I'm talking to him about getting canceled and being blackballed and being called anti-Semitic, when he's trying to defend himself about why he doesn't feel like he was, you know, deserved the punishment that he got. And they punished me even worse. Than they punish him for even trying to give him the opportunity to clear his name. So, you know, it was one of those things, like, you know, even the process, we still going through it, because I think what I've learned through the whole process is there's a lot of pain out there, Joe. There's a lot of people who are hurt. There are a lot of people who are scared. And when you start, if as a student, as someone who's learning, and you start offering up different information and saying different things that people don't know, haven't heard, not also, you know, they're processing it differently, and there's certain trigger words and tropes out there that certain communities, like just like we got. If you got two, you know, white people sitting with each other that seem to have strong views, and they say that, you hear them say nigger, you like, hey motherfucker, like we need to address that. So it's in that same energy, you know. Some of our language, some of my concepts was too strong for a lot of people to digest, and didn't hear the truth in what I was saying, and didn't hear what I was trying to bring across. So, you know, they came for the kid, like, in a big way. But like you said,
you know, Nick,
we built for this.
It's a sensitive time around the world, not even America, and it's almost stuff that you used to could say out of context, with somebody hear it and be like, oh, I know what Nick is saying. They don't give you that room no more. They don't give you that now it's like, oh, he said this. Oh, we gonna cancel Nick. It's over. And you've been winning for so long.
Yeah, they've been,
and not just winning, because there's levels of winning.
right?
You have been dealing directly with some of the most powerful people in Hollywood. Like you,
Facts.
you know, you the host of the biggest shows in regular TV.
Yeah.
You know, and you produce your own shows and movies. And so, like, you're the last person somebody's gonna think is anti-Semitic.
Yeah. And I think that's what made it make so much noise, and everybody was so shocked, because it was even, you know, it was right along the time with the Deshaun Jackson, and a lot of people have a lot of conspiracy theories, and that's where we get in trouble, honestly. But it's like, people were thinking like, oh, it's because Nick is taking on, you know, Nipsey's Dr. Sabi documentary and directing that. Like, they've been trying to come for him. Oh, it's because, you know, he was, you know, on July 4th, he was at Farrakhan's you know, farm, and all of these people just coming up with all of these things of why they really think they came from me, because, you know, that was older footage. It wasn't something that was new. So they're trying to put, you know, two and two together. But I think you hit it on the head, where when they see somebody that is prominent, you know, in mainstream, you know, having conversations about, or having not so mainstream conversations, you know, having conversations about things that we talk about within our community every day. You know what I mean? A lot of people said, you know, we was having barbershop conversations, but the barbershop wasn't open. You know what I mean?
That's a fact. I you know, I talk to my friends about it. It's something I call ultra famous. When you ultra famous, when you're a pop star, you know, you gotta
right.
You gotta extremely watch what you say.
Yeah.
Even though they know you're not saying it in that context,
it's still,
they want to
still
turn
dangerous.
that around on you.
Yeah, it's crazy too now, because I watched it come, you know, shoot, my words hurt a lot of people, man, like on every side, because then now it became like this pillar, because, you know, niggas said, I was just saying, I'm sorry, I apologize for hurting people with my words. And then everybody else was like, you ain't got to apologize. What you apologizing for? I was like, I'm trying to be a good example as a man, be a bigger man, and just say, all right, look, I apologize, I hurt you. Now let's have this real conversation about if we really trying to get the truth and reconciliation. It's not going to happen overnight. But even as I'm trying to play chess and get to the real and get to nothing but the truth, you know, people don't understand the long game. And that's, like you said, when you're in a position of where your words have power, and whether it's the fame, whether it's the notoriety, or even what your knowledge and your intellect, I feel like, as even going for my PhD, like a lot of my professors and a lot of people that have been guiding me is like, man, you're one of those voices that, you know, if people listen. So people will take your words out of context. Even now, people calling me, you know, a raging bigot and a racist. And I was like, that, you know, name calling ain't never bothered me. You know what I mean? I always say I've been called worse by better, but like it's one of those situations where now I got to do the work. God put me into this position to truly be a light in the midst of darkness, and we just gonna keep pushing. I'm gonna keep learning, keep and keep passing on this information.
Yeah, what I can say is I believe every word you say, you fall from anti-Semitic, you fall from against everybody. You've always been kind and beautiful to people, and
Yeah.
and so, you know, sometimes, you know, they say they always want to big you up to pull you down,
Tear
you
you
know.
down. Real talk. That's
And
wisdom.
I'll say something that has nothing to do with you or with you at all, right? But like, so somebody told me today, yo, look at Britney Spears' Instagram, right? And so I go on there, and it's just sad because I've always felt like they've been single-handedly, the media or whoever, the tabloids or whatever, been trying to kill this girl, like make her commit suicide or something. Like Michael Jackson, like, so imagine if you go to every supermarket and the People magazine, everybody got like, and I just feel bad for that whole situation because,
Me too, man.
you know, I'm just like, damn, man, this girl, you know,
He
and
was on
it's
top.
hard out here, you know. I had Alicia Keys on here, and shout out to Sean King on the check-in.
That's my brother.
Sean King. And so I had Alicia Keys on here, and I asked her, with all your awards, with all everything, what's the thing you're most proud of? She said, I'm just proud I have my sanity.
That's real rap. Yeah, that's so real. And that's the thing, like what you said, like when you think like Britney Spears, hundreds of millions of dollars, you know what I mean? And like we've all been in the vicinity of individuals who get to that level, and you got so many yes people around you. You got so many people that pretending to protect you. You know what I mean? And I call it access to excess, Joe. It's like when you got access to just excessive amounts of whatever you want. That's the stuff that'll tear you down. That's that dark negative energy I be talking about. Like when it becomes spiritual warfare, where you just look in somebody's eyes and they no longer there. You know what I mean? They gone because they done attacked them on so many different levels because they were at the top. Everybody was pulling from them. You know what I mean? Everybody was been these leeches trying to plug into them when they've been the generators. And when there ain't no more energy, now they just a shell of what they used to be. And that's like, you know, shoot, I came up during them times with, you know, I remember like I was on tour with Brittany and them and Justin and, you know what I mean? And watching them go from these people who just really love entertainment to them being put in positions to where they can't even move. And then now they got to have like, you know,
yeah, and
yeah.
you've been the darling of fucking Hollywood, and they finally gave you a little taste of trying to pull in the ladder. You know, the ladder, they try to stack in the
Exactly.
ladder, try to make you fall off the ladder. You felt
Real
a little
tough.
bit of that craziness, huh?
Yeah, now you know what it is. They always say, man, you know, tough times don't last, tough people do. So I truly believe we built for this shit. And I you know me, I've been waiting for some shit to show people that I was a real nigga. So it's like, but it's all about resilience and it just really just showing. And the fact that I've been, you know, I've honestly, my education has been the thing that has been the backbone through all of this, man. And, you know, I'm always, you know, love entertainment, but I feel like, you know, if the entertainment stopped today, you know what I mean? My goal in life is to enrich our people and to provide for our people. And I've been doing that, you know, at Howard University for the last 4 or 5 years and really going to continue that on in this process with Cannon's class. And, you know, like you said, like to me, we was doing, you know, I love the Black Lives Matter movement, but we've been out on these streets, you know, from day one. You know what I mean? We've been going hard since about 2012. And, you know, I was in Ferguson. I'm in New York. You know, I was in Minneapolis. My next episode of Candace class next week, I had the opportunity to go to Louisville and be with, you know, Breonna Taylor's mom and sit with her and, you know, Attorney Crump. So it's one of these things where I've truly dedicated my life, and I learned from. I had two mentors that helped me around along the way. One is no longer with us, and one is still here. So the ancestor Dick Gregory walked me through this whole process. He really prophesied of what my career was going to be and how I was going to walk in his similar footsteps, and what he did with everybody from Dr. King to Malcolm X to Marvin Gaye to Muhammad Ali. Like, those was his squad, but he was in the back making moves with them cats. And then the same thing with Harry Belafonte, who sat with me and gave me the game, you know, and said, man, this entertainment is just, that's your light, but you got to shine that light on the right things, and they gonna come for you. Like, but you got to just stand fast and educate yourself and keep that word going.
Let me ask you a question. Recently, I saw you did an interview with Kanye.
Yeah.
This is my favorite
Part two drop tomorrow.
Part 2 drops tomorrow?
Yeah, the part 2 is the best part. Part 1 was just, it was just light, yay.
Part 2 drops tomorrow. The big boy, the monster?
Yeah, that's what he thought. This the talk that, you know, people been waiting on.
Could we hint towards what it might be? Like,
yeah, I mean, he go all the way in. Like, even again, it goes back to what we were saying about, you know, when you get to that level, they like to build you up to tear you down. Like, Kanye been my brother since day one. I know Kanye was needed money to go get McDonald's. You know what I mean? I remember Kanye was making beats on the two-way. You know what I mean? We would kick it with before cats knew who he was. We'd be up in baseline, and that's really when I was just on my producer grind. Like, cats didn't even really know. Like, I was just like trying to make beats just like him, and we was two kids out here. And so even regardless from our history, and like we've had our ups and downs, but I was one of those things where, like, when I see somebody tearing down my brother or tearing down anybody in my community, I'm not going to join that party. And I've never been for cancel culture. I've never been for, oh, we ain't rocking with him no more. So even when he was talking super reckless, you know what I mean, on TMZ or the Harriet Tubman stuff, we was talking every day, and I'm like, yo,
me too.
Hey.
I love Kanye, man, on another level.
Yeah.
And I might not agree with him. You know, he's going Donald Trump. I'm not Donald Trump for nothing.
Yeah,
but
I
love him as a brother.
I don't even really think he is, to be honest. And that's what we talked about. I'm like, come on. I was like, come on. Yeah, you can't really think Donald Trump is a good president, especially now. I was like, otherwise your ass wouldn't be trying to run for president.
Yeah, but he was up in there like, you know, he up in there. You know, a lot of people mad at Kanye right now. They look at me like I'm crazy when I talk good about him on here, because, you know, I love Kanye West.
We ain't never gonna stop loving our own. Yeah, that's the plan. We gotta stay on code, man. That's the thing where we get out here. Social media done changed this, man. They done infiltrated us, and they sitting back laughing at us as we sit down and tear each other down and for the likes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care what was like
fact.
My
but
brother.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Something that Kanye West said on your show that blew my mind for the first. And I done heard all type of shit you could think of, right? But he called it genocide, and he talked about abortion. And I've always been for the right for a woman's choice.
Right to do what they want to do.
He said 22 million black and brown babies have been aborted. And he's saying that right there is genocide. And more people have died than that, than gun violence, than diabetes, than cancer, than AIDS combined.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, it blew my mind. I never thought of it like that. And
we broke it down too, because I have been sharing that type of information with Kanye for years. He and we co-produced my single "Can I Live," when it was a record. Really, it was my story about my mother went to an abortion clinic, and when she was a teenager, she was in high school, and you know, they told her that she should get an abortion and finish school. And we did a whole record and a video about that, and that's when Ye and I first started having that conversation. And we started talking about Margaret Sanger, who is the founder of Planned Parenthood, and she created the birth control pill. And you know, she was an honorary Ku Klux Klan member, you know what I mean? And she talked about eugenics, you know, and eugenics was also the same concept that Hitler used, you know, for the Holocaust. And it was really about ethnic cleansing. And they felt, and it's statements that she made that she said, yo, we gotta, our goal is to annihilate the Negro people. Like, we'll utilize, you know, the preachers to do it. We'll make them think that we're helping them. And not, you know, not to bad, you know, because that's the other thing I even said in an interview with Kanye. Planned Parenthood is a completely different organization today than it was. In that vibe, it's not the same. I don't believe it's the same organization as it was then, but we got to talk about the roots of it. We got to start talk about the truth. And then that's when Ye, he took it to a whole new level and came out with the statistics, which, you know, those are facts and those are things that we got to deal with. But I also it was respecting the fact that, like, yo, we two men sitting here talking about what women can do with their bodies. Like, that's not our place. You know what I mean? And I definitely still don't believe that the government should be able to tell a woman what she can do with her body. But if we want to talk about what real genocide is and where we really losing lives more than anything, it definitely, you know, when you think about those eugenics concepts that have been around for a long time and who Margaret Sanger was, it gets deep, man. You know, like, and those are those type of conversations where if you're not educated enough, if you just talk, it can get you in trouble, man. It could get you, because people are scared to have those conversations because that's some real heavy stuff that people ain't ready for.
Yeah, that's some deep shit. And when I heard that is some deep shit, because, you know,
social engineering is real. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's all you're explaining to me is systemic racism.
Exactly.
From jump.
From jump.
And what's crazy is I've always been for the right for a woman. You know, she might get raped. She might already have 6 kids, single parent moms. You know, whatever her choice is, I've always been there to support and say that's the right thing. But when you start looking at 22 million kids, you start thinking like, wow, like, you know what I mean? This is really, really deep. And so Kanye, you know, he chooses his moments to sound like he don't have no mental illness, and some other times, you know, sometimes I pray for the guy, like I'll call Boo.
Yeah, I pray for him every day.
You know,
but we know Kanye.
Like, yo, how's he doing?
Yo, real talk, Kanye has been the same Kanye since the day that I met that dude. He's outspoken, man. He one of them things he has that train of consciousness where if it come in his mind, he gonna say it. The same way he said George Bush don't care about black people on live TV, like the same way.
So let me ask you something, Nick. So you don't think he has any mental illness?
No, we talk about that. We talk about that on the podcast as well. We address that. We talk about that for like 20 minutes because it's like it goes all the way back. I had this conversation with Dr. Umar Johnson. It's like they so quick to put the stigma of mental illness on the black man, especially when he has an alternative way of thinking. Because then, and it starts with baby boys. It starts with the annihilation, the you know, school to prison pipeline, because Nick, they want to put mental illness on it.
I'm from New York, man, and you know you from LA. You got Skid Row. When you driving past motherfuckers talking to themselves, they got some mental illness, bro. If they
those are real. And that's mental health is so important, and I'm glad we having this conversation because there's levels to it. And even Kanye accepts, you know, certain diagnoses, and you know, he jokes about being on the spectrum and all of those things. But first of all, they tried to diagnose me with mental illness. It's certain levels to where I feel like in mental health we all have. It's just like any of our other health. We gotta really jump in and focus on building our mental strength, because especially it's a lot of demons and darkness out there, man. When we placed in the positions and the worlds that we step into, when it goes back to what I was saying, that access to excess. Kanye is a billionaire. They ain't not like when you get to that level of ain't nobody telling you no, and you can't nobody tell you nothing, as his song say. You need some angels around you, man. You need some people really rocking with you in a real way to protect you instead of pointing fingers at you and giving you a stigma and saying you mentally ill. You just might be mentally weak. You might be mentally, at that time, you need your brothers around you to be like, look, I'm a real nigga. I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna let you get it all out, and then we gonna dice this up. And that's when we need to really be there for each other. And that was the purpose for you know, Kanye and I sitting down, and you know, and even like what you doing with your platform and stuff, it's one of those things where we can't be canceled, man. We can't cancel each other, but we can counsel each other. And that's those things where I always look to you as an OG. I always, yo, what I'm supposed to do in this situation, and and we need guys like that. And it ain't even about, you know, someone being older or someone being wiser. It's just someone having that same love and admiration for you that can really tap in.
I mean, I agree with everything you said. I just want, you know, to me, Kanye West is beyond a leader in our community, beyond an important person to me and all of us. And if he needs help and he really loves you enough to really trust you like that, then you got to talk to him about receiving some type of help or whatever the case may be, because
I'm gonna keep it a stack though. This, and like you made a great point. I come from a family of people dealing and struggling with mental illness. I got people with addiction problems. Like I know how to spot it. I know, and that, you know, one of my degrees, like that's one of the reasons why I'm studying neuropsychology mixed in at the School of Divinity. Like it's because that spiritual warfare is so real that you recognize those signs when people are having manic episodes, is what they call it, or certain things where people have been diagnosed with bipolar syndrome. People don't even understand there's several different diagnoses to bipolar. So you got to give people, because when you put that stigma on somebody, then now that person feels like an outcast. Now you're doing something worse to that person, because you're telling a grown man he better take his meds, or he better start acting right, or I'm gonna call the fuck calling the cops. Now they're gonna call the doctor on you to come give you a shot in your ass so you can be mundane and fucking melancholy and not yourself, and you fucking around, walking around like a zombie for 3 weeks because somebody didn't agree with what you said, or somebody thought you were having an emotional breakdown. That shit is sad, man. So you got to be real careful, especially when you someone's friend, someone's loved one, and they start mental illness. Mental health is not something to play with, and it's not something that we should just throw around and just, oh, that person better take their meds, or that person's crazy. Because I've lost probably 6 or 7 people to mental illness. And it gets to a place because they get so lonely, they get so dark, and they're struggling and fighting within their mind, and they feel like everyone becomes the enemy. Everyone is trying to be out there to get them. So all I can do is show love and support, like you said, prayer, and then let that person, hopefully, long as that person ain't harming nobody, man, have all your free thoughts, say all the things that you want, because last time I checked, we can do that in America. I don't know how much longer we're gonna be able to have to speak freely in America. But you know, I'm never going.
Nick Cannon,
who you
use it. Nick Cannon, let me ask you a question. Who you voting for?
Man, I talked about Kanye. I talked to Kanye about this too. I want to see Kamala Harris, who's somebody that, you know, I've had many conversations with, had the opportunity to interview. I want her to get that opportunity to get a shot to see a queen in the White House, man, to see a woman, you know, operating and calling some shots. So if I had to back anybody, that's definitely who I'm rocking with. Obviously, doing my research over the years, I'm not the biggest Biden fan, but I'm definitely not a Donald Trump fan. So if there's any silver lining in any of these clouds, it's Kamala Harris.
Okay, I like Kamala, and I really love Joe Biden, but I'll just keep that to my.
I'm only Joe. Come on, man. We don't know too many people that
I've been a Joe.
life
jacket. I've been a Joe fan forever. But listen, don't worry about that. I'm saying, no, don't worry about that. We as long as you voting, because a lot of our people is like acting like they don't want to vote, and then they're gonna wake up that next morning and they're gonna be mad as hell when we got.
I'm gonna keep it a stack, Joe. I'm gonna keep it a stack though. this is my issue. The presidency is a popularity contest. I encourage my people to understand the vote, and if you want to get caught up in, you know, the media hoopla of you know, which old white man you want living in the White House, have that. But the more important vote is the policy vote. The policy vote is a real vote. Understand, read these policies, know what's going on, and know who your mayor is, know who your city council person is, because that's how we change and defund law enforcement. Know who the police chief is, know who's hiring them, understand the laws and the policy that's being passed. Don't just go in there saying I'm voting for Biden and think shit gonna change, or oh, I'm voting for Trump and shit gonna change. That shit, they don't affect state law. State law is where law enforcement and police and where our schooling, our law enforcement, the things that go, that's the shit we got to pay attention to. Whoever is in the White House, rah rah, ski, I love it. Like I said, for a representation for I would love to see the personality. I would love to turn on the TV and see Kamala Harris speaking for us every single day. But where your vote really matters, what Dr. King was fighting for, what John Lewis was fighting for, they wasn't fighting for the president. They was fighting for the policy within their communities.
Let me tell you something, Nick. We talked about anti-Semitism. We talked about Kanye. We talked about Eminem. We talked about
it's a joke for exclusive.
Hold on. We talked about the Bloods. We talked about Mariah Carey's new tell-all book. Now I'm gonna ask you the hardest.
I think I might have said something. I might have said something. I might have said too much too, Joe. I might got reckless. No. Because the whole time Mariah been FaceTiming me, trying.
I'm trying to stop you. Yo, tell Mariah I love Mariah. Me and Mariah.
I was like,
back like baby. I
was like, did I say too much?
No. You. They're ordering the book. Don't worry about that. You did the right thing. But listen, yo, Nick, here's the hardest question I'm going to ask you.
After all that?
Top 5 MCs, rappers, the top 5 dead or alive.
Man, you know this what we do. We do this on the radio every day. The world famous top 5. Mine is interesting, man. Just because as somebody who considers himself a student of hip hop, I gotta put KRS-One on there. You know, just for culture. Andre 3000 on there. And then just because I've been a fan since day one. And then it get interesting because at one point Eminem was definitely in my top 5 because numbers. If we go in effect on culture, he was in my top 5. And I like, if I'm going top 5 flow, definitely Eminem is has one of the illest flows and cadences that I've ever seen in hip hop. Even he's a great storyteller. I put him up there with with Biggie and Slick Rick when it comes to storytelling. But overall, I gotta go Ice Cube. I gotta do that. I gotta go with Cube, and it's just because to me he's one of the greatest storytellers of our generation. You know what I mean? From just like not from fuck the police to writing Boys in the Hood to all of that. But then if we just going straight numbers and effect on culture, because I think that's what you got to go: lyricism, record sales, and how much you affected culture. I got to go Pac, like
yeah.
And then the best to ever do it, you got to go Hov. That's 5, right?
You went 6 because you threw a question on Eminem in there.
I didn't put him on. I said he was on there at one point.
Burns, he said Rakim, but yo, listen. I'm gonna move M from the equation because last I looked, y'all still got rap beef. So,
I respect the man for his ability.
Yo, I love Eminem. He's one of my favorite rappers in the world.
You got a bag with him. I'd love him too.
No.
Fire.
Listen, let me tell you something.
Fire.
Let me tell you something. Me and Big Pun, we was nominated for Grammys. Eminem's album was coming out. We was in LA, Tower Records. Me and Big Pun waited on the line, the longest line, and Big Pun was double platinum nominated to get that first Eminem album. Like I've always been a fan.
Crazy. Yeah.
I've always been a fan, so I don't know what they talk about. And me personally, let me tell you something. I was brought up by Zulu Nation. I was brought up by Rocksteady. I was brought up thinking hip hop itself is just a religion, our own culture. I go to Rocksteady jams and I see Asians, I see white people, I see Latinos, I see black. I never looked at color in hip hop. I always looked at it as culture and who's bringing the most to the game. So some people get mad when we say Eminem, but the man was a freak of nature. He dead nice rapping. There's nothing we can do
his
about
ability. Yeah, you can't knock it. And that's why I said, like, one day hopefully dude and I get an opportunity to sit down, because like I said, I do respect his ability. But if we
what, Nick? I'm gonna try. I'm not acting like I speak to Eminem or you every day. Fat Joe's gonna try to be the mediator, be the big man of this, and try to get y'all together. That's
if you could do it, man.
I've
been trying to get. I've talked to Royce. We trying to really get it popping, because I think at the end, two men need to have that conversation.
Yeah, but Joe Crack a little different from everybody.
That's what I'm saying. I know you can do it, OG.
Joe Crack a little different, so that would be dope.
And tell him, while you at it, tell him to come. We'll set up an exclusive Wildin' Out in Detroit.
You want that Wildin' Out and all that? You want to talk to the man, or you want to? Come on, man.
Come on, we gotta get to the bag, Joe.
Yo, let me tell you something, Nick. That's why you so rich, Nick. Rich. Yo, Nick, I'm still learning, trying to put this show together and all that. And I say everything I want to be, you already are. So I'm like, man, this guy here.
I learned from you. I'm proud of your platform. What'd you say?
How many seasons? Wildin' Out.
You did 15.
And every time they play the shit on TV, am I correct? You get paid for that?
Yeah, real talk. It's called residuals, Joe. And that's because I'm the creator and on air talent. So I get a couple of checks every episode.
Yeah, Nick, I'm just trying. There's people aspiring. There's people who don't know what we know. So we try to educate.
Yeah, that's what Blue Williams just said. It's your time, Joe. It's your time. It's your moment.
Stop. Yo, Blue, get me a check, man. Stop playing, Blue.
It's your moment. There's not a better storyteller when I'm saying, like, Fat Joe's stories, the things that he's been through in this world and in his life, in these streets, in this industry, to sit here and talk to one of the greats, and the way you deliver your stories is so vivid, man. This your platform. I know y'all setting some stuff up. The world gonna hear it, but they need more of this, Joe. They need more of you.
All right, my brother. I love you, Nick, man. You gotta click off with the button, man. Thank you for coming to the big.
The big show, the biggest show. I love you, man.
All right, Nick. I love you too. You gotta click off.